A horrifying New Year's Eve hostage drama that played out after a botched bank robbery in suburban Houston. We're also learning how one pastor helped talk down one of the alleged hostage takers. We'll talk to him in just a minute, but first we hear from the first time those hostages who feared for their lives. Inside this bank, fear and chaos swept over as 10 people were taken hostage and held over a span of 5 grueling hours.
I can hear people crying. I can feel people shaking next to me.
Swin Fan, who went to the bank to use the ATM, said she feared for her life.
At first I thought, this couldn't be real.
The drama started at 11 a.m. on New Year's Eve when 3 to 4 masked men entered the Chase Bank and demanded money. When police surrounded the area, the suspects tried to flee through a back door. Shots were fired and 29-year-old Raymond Johnson was arrested, but police believe at least 2 suspects got away. But one alleged hostage taker was still in the bank, 39-year-old Samuel Bonner.
He was just yelling that he got left behind, that the other suspects took off without him.
Tension started to build.
He got very nervous during this point in time, and even at one point, he urinated on the floor.
Over the next 2 hours, police negotiators spoke to Bonner by phone, trying to convince him to release the hostages unharmed. By 2 p.m., he released 5 of them. But then this strange request. He asked to speak with a pastor. So a hostage put him in touch with her pastor, John Davis, who talked to him about forgiveness.
He spent a lot of time calling his family and telling them that he was sorry and that he messed up.
Finally, just after 4 p.m., Bonner surrendered and released the remaining hostages unharmed.
I'm very thankful that he didn't hurt anyone, and that it's behind me now.
And joining us now from Houston is that Pastor John Davis of the New Hope Church in Pearland, Texas. Good morning, Pastor Davis. Happy New Year.
Good morning and Happy New Year to you.
I'm sure in your 18 years as a pastor, you've had many serious conversations with congregants. I can't imagine any as serious as the phone call you received on Friday. Walk us through the first few minutes of that call.
Sure, I can do that. I received a call on Friday afternoon. I didn't recognize the number. The voice behind that phone call said, "This is Janie and I'm being held hostage." She was very emotional and very distraught. And I was trying to wrap my mind around that. So I asked again, what's happening? And she said, "This is Janie, I'm being held hostage and there's a man that wants you to pray with him."
And that is when Samuel Bonner got on the phone. What was his mood like? And what do you remember him saying to you, those first few words?
Actually, he was very calm. The first thing he said to me was, this morning I woke up and I got this thought in my mind that I was going to rob a bank. Unfortunately, now, I'm in this situation with hostages and now I just need prayer for forgiveness. And
how long were you on the phone with him?
I was on the phone for about 6 minutes.
And you prayed with him, and what did you last tell him before you hung up?
I did pray with him, and after I prayed, I asked him what his next step was, and he said he was going to release the hostages, which I said was a good thing. And then I wanted to know what his plan was for himself. What was he going to do? And he said, well, that was between him and God, but he was at peace with the situation.
And that must have at least been some sort of relief to you when you heard that he would release the hostages. But then you turned and dialed 911 right after that phone call, correct?
Yes, I did. I called the police as soon as Samuel hung up with me. And have you spoken with Janie, the member of your congregation who initially called you, since? Yes, I have had a chance to speak with her. I tried to call her, but the FBI, I believe, took her phone as evidence, and she called me yesterday afternoon to let me know that she was okay, that she was, bruised physically and emotionally, but that she was very thankful. Well, we do know that Samuel Bonner, who is in jail, bail has been set at $13 million. He has a criminal history of drug possession and burglary. Do you plan on reaching out to him again? Yes, I believe that I do. I believe that God loves Samuel and has a plan for him. I believe that we have to pay the consequences for our actions as well. But if I have the opportunity, I would love to sit down and talk with him again. And lastly, Pastor Davis, you're being hailed a hero. How does a man of the cloth learn to deal with these sort of impromptu and life-threatening, in this case, situations? Well, I'm not sure that you can really ever prepare yourself for something like that. I know in that moment I was very afraid, and so I just asked God to give me the right words to say in that moment. As a pastor, though, whenever I get a phone call like that, I do try and listen. I try and put myself in that person's position, and I try and speak truth and just encourage as best I can.
All right, Pastor Davis, well, those words did help prevent what could have been a very tragic and ugly situation on a New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's to you again, and thanks for joining us.